that I'm running for president of the United States.
Like, that's crazy to me. How did you fill up an entire auditorium full of people who are like, oh, dude, Tim Scott, that shit is fire, dude. Finally. I mean, fucking finally, dude. That's who I was waiting for. That is the totality of all people that are going to vote for him, I think. Like, if they would even. If you polled all the people outside of that auditorium, then they were like, Trump or Tim Scott, I'm pretty sure 75% will go to Trump. Folks, Tim Scott, I know you've been excited for this one. I know you've been thinking, oh my God, finally my fave is going to run for president. And if you are like me, and very excited at the prospect of Tim Scott running for president, well, this is a good day for you, okay? It's a great day for you, a great day for celebration, joy, because Tim Scott is running for president. I mean, finally. I mean, I've been waiting for this moment. If you no longer want to see Tim Scott, don't worry, he's not going to win. He is a non-entity. Tim Scott is an elementary school student warming up the crowd for him in North Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know why, but I guess it's normal. Here is Tim Scott coming on stage.
Hello, North Charleston!
Oh, that's Howard Dean. No, it's over. Just kidding. Nobody fucking gets... Nobody's chances get destroyed by like the Howard Dean scream anymore. It's kind of fucked up. Bro, that voice crack makes E-Rob look like the most masculine alpha dog on the planet, okay? Ah, hello there, Charleston!
By the time I was a freshman in high school, I wasn't doing very well. As he said, I failed 4 subjects: Spanish and English, world geography, and civics. Now, for those of you not familiar with civics, civics is the study of politics. I will say this, though. I'll say this. Hey, hallelujah. Yes. I'll say this, though. I'll say this. After 10 years in the Senate, I am not the only one failing civics.
Okay, not bad. He's doing a type 5. Okay. I mean, he is a charisma suck too, but like, but that wasn't that bad. That's like an all right joke. Yeah, Tim Scott's gonna poll at 1%.
In the nation's capital. I'm not the only one failing civics in America's capital. By the time I was a freshman in...
Let's see what else he's saying.
That's why I'm announcing today.
I mean, look, Tim Scott plays a pivotal role in the Republican Party. Okay? He's the guy that they bring up on the RNC. Okay? He's the guy that they bring up at CPAC, who gets up on stage and says, whichever, candidate or whichever person has been called a white supremacist is actually not a white supremacist because he's black and he knows that those guys are not racist. And if you think I'm joking, or if you think I'm being like fucked up, or Hasan, how dare you say that about a black man? Like, no, like that's literally his job. Like that's what he does every time. Even if that's not his job, that's what he keeps doing. Okay? So you can get mad at me if you want about it, but it is the factually accurate statement. Okay? I don't know how much I am the black friend that you can point to say I'm not racist is going to get him. I don't know how far that's going to get him in the Republican primaries. There's always there's been way more fun candidates in the Republican primaries than Tim Scott. He just doesn't really do anything. So yeah.
That I'm running for president of the United
Like, that's crazy to me. How did you fill up an entire auditorium full of people who are like, oh, dude, Tim Scott, that shit is fire, dude. Finally. I mean, fucking finally, dude. That's who I was waiting for. That is the totality of all people that are going to vote for him, I think. Like, if they would even. If you polled all the people outside of that auditorium, then they were like, Trump or Tim Scott, I'm pretty sure 75% will go to Trump. I was being nice to Tim Scott. It's probably way more than 75%. But, of course, in 2010, Tim Scott became the first black Republican elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from South Carolina in more than a century. Years later, after being appointed to his Senate seat, he won a special election to retain the seat. Scott made history as the first black U.S. senator from his native South Carolina. And now he's running for president. And we're very excited. Look at this. He's no stranger to path-breaking campaigns. Like, he's like running on funding the Ukrainian war, I think. Like, which is, earnest. It's great. More power to the Ukrainians that are fighting for emancipation. I'm on board with that. But, like, don't know how well that's going to stick in the Republican primaries. You know what I mean? Like, what Republican is like, oh, fuck, thank God. Finally. Finally a guy that's going to do the thing that we've been shitting on Democrats a lot over. This is great. So here's how you know he was already cooked from the jump. They always put the biggest fucking losers to do like the reverse, the response to the State of the Union or like a presidential address. They often will put like the biggest losers in the party to do that response or the reaction. So that's how you know he was already cooked from the jump.
Remember, every morning at the kitchen table, do we need common ground more desperately than in our discussions of race? I have experienced the pain of discrimination. I know what it feels like to be pulled over for no reason, to be followed around the store.
Dude, how can you say I'm wrong? How can you say I'm like wrong and then he immediately proves the point I make in 18 seconds, dude? Yeah. Dude, remember we watched when Trump was president. Was it fucking CPAC? When we watched like CPAC have Herschel Walker, Tim Scott, maybe like two other I can't remember. I think it was like Brian Donaldson or whatever. I don't know. One of the new I think it might have been Ben Carson. But anyway, like every single black politician that came up on stage on CPAC or came up that wasn't even a politician. Herschel Walker wasn't even a politician at the time. Got up on stage and said, I'm a black person. I've experienced racism. People have done hate crimes to me. People have pulled me over. And I can tell you that Donald Trump is not a racist. Like, that's literally what they said verbatim. Okay?
While I'm shopping. I remember every morning at the kitchen table, my grandfather would open the newspaper and read it, I thought. But later I realized he had never learned to read it. He just wanted to set the right example. I've also experienced a different kind of intolerance. I get called Uncle Tom and the N-word by progressives, by liberals. Just last week, a national newspaper suggested my family's poverty was actually privilege because a relative owned land generations before my time. Believe me, I know firsthand our healing is not finished. In 2015, after the shooting of Walter Scott, I wrote a bill to fund body.
Anyway, yeah. It's the progressives are the true racists. Republicans are not racist at all. Democratic plantation. Anyway. So yeah, Tim Scott's running, and we're very excited. Anyway, back to Tim Scott. Not really too much to talk about. Very boring. Major L for Tim. Can't wait for little Rhonda to come out finally. And that's when it's going to get a little bit more fun on the Republican primaries.